you please give us a brief introduction of yourself and how you got to where you are in STEM and your background?
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, my name is Jane Ngozi Agwara. I am originally from the eastern part of Nigeria in West Africa, and my background is in chemical engineering. All my degrees chemical engineering. So I got my bachelor's in chemical engineering from Ahmadu Bello University in Nigeria. Then I moved to the US and I got my master's and my PhD in chemical engineering from the University of Rochester. It's in upstate New York. And currently, I work in one of the US national labs, that is Oak Ridge National Lab here in Tennessee. I work as a postdoctoral research associate, just continuing kind of in a broad picture what I did for my PhD. So for my PhD, what I did was I worked on catalysis, so materials that we call catalysts. And the whole aim is to design materials that are able to convert carbon dioxide. If you're familiar with like global warming, carbon dioxide is one of those gases you emit when you burn fossil fuels. And it's like a waste, it's like a problem, right? But what my research does is I design materials that would take that carbon dioxide and convert it into useful products. So you can make things like fabrics, plastics or pharmaceutical cosmetics. A lot of things can come out from what you would originally consider as waste. But with the help of the materials that I make, you can get useful products from that. So that's like a brief overview of what I do.
Wow, that's wonderful. I didn't even know you can turn carbon dioxide into plastic.
Oh, you can definitely.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And what inspired you to go into chemical engineering? How did you get into chemical engineering?
I would say I started from deciding to be a science student in high school, secondary school before chemical engineering. And what made me decide to go be a science student the first was my love for calculation, I guess. Yeah, I realized that when I was in secondary school, you could teach me maybe biology. Biology is still science, but you could teach me biology or social studies and stuff like that, and I'll be bored just hearing you talk. But when you're punching your calculator and canceling numbers, I get excited. So I realized that I love things like math and physics more than the social studies, history, and stuff. So I leaned towards science. So at some point, I knew that I wouldn't do well as someone in the arts field. I would do better in science. So, and also not just in science. Now, okay, in science, I had the option of going to medical field or becoming an engineer. Because if you're in Nigeria like myself and you happen to be doing well in school, I mean, smart. People always consider you supposed to be a doctor, like a medical doctor. But I realized that I couldn't see myself as a medical doctor even up to now because of my personality. I always tell people that if I were to be a medical doctor and you as my patient, you come and you tell me you have pains and you're crying, I will join you, we'll both be crying. Instead of treating you, I would be crying with you. So I wouldn't be able to do that. I realized that I would be able to do more of engineering stuff because those were the things that I'd like to do. Now the options were, which engineering would you want to do? So I decided to do chemical engineering because amongst other engineering fields that are more like very niche focused, chemical engineering is one engineering field that is like versatile. As a chemical engineer, you can literally work in any company as long as there is production going in that company. A chemical engineer can work there. So I wanted something that wouldn't limit me in the future. Yes, I want to be an engineer. Also, I want to be an engineer that I can decide to go into different fields in the future. So that's how I picked chemical engineering. Yeah.
And you mentioned that with chemical engineers can work in any company. That's very interesting. I didn't realize that. So what would you say the field of chemical engineering really encompasses?
Okay. First of all, the big mistake or misconception that people have is chemical engineers are chemists, like chemistry. I don't even like chemistry. We are okay, because of anybody watching this video, I like chemistry. We are not chemists. So a simple way to explain what a chemical engineer does is the definition I was given in my first class in my first year as a chemical engineering undergraduate student. So the professor walked in, and what he told us was, and that's the truth. So as a chemist, what you do, you stay in the lab, you try to mix A plus B to get C. So you're mixing different chemicals, doing all of that, all those microscopic study, molecular studies, trying to get a product. Now, as a chemist, you've mixed A and B and you got C as your product. Then what? That's where a chemical engineer comes in. As a chemical engineer, it's now my duty to be able to produce that C that you have discovered in a large quantity for mass consumption. So now I have to design the process of expanding what you've done. Now I also have to okay, you missed A plus B and you got C. What you did in the lab is different from how it will translate in a commercial, bigger level. So let's say when you're mixing A plus B, I don't want to go too technical, but let's assume the temperature you were using was 30 degrees C, 30 degrees Celsius, and you were mixing and you were getting C. But when you now use a bigger vessel, like in an industry, you have bigger vessels, C might no longer work because there might be something else going on. It's now the work of an engineer to try to optimize the process. Like, what changes should we make? What should we tweak? First of all, we design the process to make C, and then we try to optimize the conditions to make sure we are producing that C that you got in the lab. So we are not really concerned about the molecular science and the other deep fundamental science, but that's also the difference. When you do PhD, you can also now go into the science, but in general, what a chemical engineer does is that design of process and optimization of process.
Okay.
That's too much.
No, that's really interesting, because I'll be honest with you. I was one of those people who thought chemical engineering has a lot to do with chemistry, working.
Actually, now in my level, my boss is a chemist. I see the difference between the way she thinks and the way I think. I'm like, I'm not a chemist. Yeah. So.
Yeah, okay. And would you say that can you share any experience that you've had where your chemical engineering skills were instrumental in making a difference or solving a significant problem?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, aside from my PhD and my current book, which is like what is expected if you're doing a PhD to solve a problem, I would try to be different and say not about my PhD work. So when I was a PhD student, I did an internship in this organization called Electric Power Research Institute. So what the organization does is that they stand as like a middleman between different companies and researcher. So how it works is, let's say your company wants to know more about a particular thing, but you want to invest the resources in doing all of that. What you do is you register as a member in this organization. So the organization does the research and then gives you the report. Does that make sense? So the group that I work with, they wanted someone who has expertise in, so my expertise in a simple sentence is direct carbon capture and conversion. So carbon is CO2, so capture CO2 and convert to something useful. So they wanted someone who has the expertise to come do some research for them. So I was hired, and my job then as an intern was to, there are currently existing companies doing what my research is about. So they wanted me to do what is called technology assessment. So using my background, my skills, and my expertise, I would pick those companies that they give to me and look at their process, their technology, everything, try to understand their system. Then after understanding their system, I will now, from an expert point of view and also from an unbiased point of view, I will write a report stating, okay, this is how the process works. This is what they say they are getting. This is what I think is the challenges or advantages of this process. And this is what I think they can do better in this process. Mind you, to be unbiased, because I don't want to say company A is better than company B. No, it's solely from an expert point of view, science point of view. So I will write about the pros and cons of this technology, and then they will publish it. So before I finished my internship there, they did publish, I think I published like 6 reports. And this report, the companies that are registered this organization, they read this report and use it to make their own decisions on how to go about with those that technology. But if you are not a member of that company and you want to access the reports I publish, some of them cost like $11,000, $25,000. So it's having to sit hours and come up with this few pages of report, and people get to pay thousands of dollars to read it, was a big deal to me. So I think that was something that I know I've used my skill to do. There are others, but I just like that one.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's wonderful. And it seems like you're really interested in the carbon capture, right?
Yeah,
The CO2 to converting CO2
that's
to
it. Yeah.
yeah. But wow, that is so interesting. There's so many things I didn't know that CO2 could be converted to.
Yeah, it
I thought
is.
it's just maybe fire extinguisher.
A lot. It's not everyday products, every day, even the drinks you take and stuff like that. Yeah, there's just so many things. There are actually some existing companies that are doing that. Unfortunately, it's currently going through some administrative issues, which I don't think we should be talking about here.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you describe or mention a mentor or role model who was instrumental in your STEM journey?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, and I would really have loved to mention somebody's name, but I don't want to say unfortunately, but I've never really had a mentor. I still hope to have one. I love when people be like, "Oh, this person is my mentor. I have this mentor. My mentor said this." I would love to have a mentor, but I've never really had this person who is a mentor to me or who is guiding me or stuff. But what has been helping me is I try to see the success in people and I pick it up. So let's say, okay, I'm just meeting you for the first time today. Let's say tomorrow I see you write something about you made something. I'll be like, oh, if Lily can make this, I can make this. Oh, I think I'm interested in this thing that she did. I'm going to push myself to see if I can achieve it, so if I can get it. So that's what has been driving me. I just like when I see people who are doing well, if there is something that they did that I really like, I just pick it up and be like, oh, I think this I'm motivated by. Or like, for instance, when I was in college as a freshman, in yeah, college, university. One of the things that would push me was, engineering as an engineering, a female, young girl engineering that, and back home in Nigeria. Are you Nigerian?
Yes, I am.
All right. So back home in Nigeria, it's really tough. It's not a woman's world, like they would say. But one of the things that really pushed me was when I would see some girls taking tutorials. I'm doing all this calculus. This is my first time being introduced to this advanced calculus. And then I'm seeing these girls in the world just solving problems. I'm like, wait, if this girl can do this, why shouldn't I be able to do this? I can do this. So those are the kind of things that motivate me. So I don't really have like this particular person. But if I want to like in one person, I would probably say my physics teacher when I was in secondary school. He kind of saw that I liked physics, I liked mathematics, and he picked interest in me. So he was like giving me extra classes and teaching me. If I had questions, I would go to his office. But that was many years ago. That was like the only person in my journey so far that I'd be like was actually there for me, guiding me, just helping me, and till I graduated from secondary school. But yeah, I would love to have a mentor. I've just been patient where I am the mentor to people, but I want to also have people mentor me, but I still have long way to go. So I hopefully will find a mentor in the future. But yeah,
Okay, all right, that's great. And there is something you mentioned that I would like to discuss more on. I know that engineering can be seen more as a male-dominated field, especially in Nigeria. It's like, oh, an engineer, people automatically assume it's a male. Then it's like, oh, female engineer. So, what would you say are some of the other challenges or stereotypes you might have encountered as an African woman studying engineering?
a lot, a lot, a whole lot. Okay, so the first one I experienced was after secondary school, before even starting university as a young girl. So back in Nigeria, we have this is that we write JAM and then we write post-UME before you get into college. I remember I went to write post-UME and it was this very big hall. And I walked in there, obviously, just mostly guys, right? So I sat down, everyone around me were boys. And before we started, this guy next to me just kind of like said, Charlie, the first thing he asked me was, what are you doing here? Exactly. I'm glad you laughed. He was like, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He said, engineering, this place is for boys. You will not be able to make it here. What are you doing here? I was like, huh? But we didn't have time to like go deeper into the conversation. But that was the first time I was like, what are you saying? And then that ended. Finally, I got the admission. Even before I got the admission, my own brother told me that engineering is hard. You want to go to school and study engineering for 5 years, you will suffer. Better pick one small course so you just not go and stress yourself in school. I was like, this is like my brother. That aside, I got into engineering. I got into school first semester. And so chemical engineers, like I said, we design process and produce stuff in larger quantities. So we deal with what we call reactors. So reactor is where you put your stuff inside and get your product. One boy looked at me in my first year of college as a new university student and said to me, "You're just wasting your time here. The pot, no, not the pot," he said, "the reactor you would ever use is the cooking pot in your husband's kitchen." Yeah. He said the first semester, first year of school. I'm like, cool. Another person said to me, he said, this, you being a chemical engineering student is a wasted spot that would have given to a guy. So you deprived a guy of his future of being a chemical engineer. Yes. Okay, he said that. I remember my response to them because I know I'm a very opinionated person. I must have said something to them. Then finally, we finished first year and results came out. I happened to be one of the best. Somebody else came and he said, "Don't worry, it's because we're just coming from secondary school. You know, maybe she was hot in secondary school. We are still doing a kind of, first year engineer, you do some of secondary school, advanced secondary school things, but you've not got into the real engineering until your second year." And it's like, don't worry, when we get to the real engineering, that's when she will know that this is not a place for girls. And he said that. And funny enough, whenever they said that, that was never a like something to demotivate me. To me, when they said that, it was always a challenge to me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show you guys. I will show you guys. So they said all of those things to me. They probably said more that I don't remember, but those things kind of motivated me and should put me in this uncomfortable position where I needed to prove to them that I also deserve to be here. I want to be here. And trust me, I graduated among the top 3 in my class. So where are those boys? Where are those boys that said I couldn't do engineering? So these are some of the challenges, and it's not just, I'm just giving you like at my beginning, all the things I face. But even in my current level, I always just find myself in positions where I'm the only female there. I went to grad school. Throughout my grad school, I was the only female in my group, like female Ph.D. or graduate student in my group. Not just the only black woman, but the only female. Currently in my job, all the people at my level, I'm the only female there. So it puts you in this position where you can't just, I don't know how to say it, but you just constantly need to show that I deserve to be here. I cannot be here. I am capable to be here. So those are just some of the challenges, and people just having this misconception that you're not supposed to be here because you're a woman and you cannot do it. Then you having to try to prove yourself that I deserve to be in this place. I can do it. And yeah, that's I probably have some others that I don't remember.
Wow.
I'm
sorry, what?
I answer your question?
Oh, yes, you did. You did. Okay. I'm so surprised that they said all that. Even your own brother.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not easy, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that being a chemical engineer, or being an engineering, or maybe any science program at all is easy. It's not easy. So, but what I do not understand is what makes them think that if a boy can do it, I cannot do it. That's up to today. I still do not understand why. Yeah.
But it's wonderful that you've been able to do so many amazing things, and you even have your PhD in chemical engineering as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And just before we come to the end of the interview, do you have any advice or encouragement that you would like to share for young females that are considering a career in STEM or just coming up in the STEM world?
Of course. I would say you can do it, right? There is no reason why you cannot do it. I always tell myself that the brain that my male counterparts have is the same brain that I have. If they can do it, I can do it. So what has helped me get to the point that I am, I feel like I've not even gotten anywhere yet. I still have a lot to do. But what has helped me so far in my journey is just not seeing any limitation, any, like, I don't see anything that I cannot do if I want to do it. And based on my conversations with a lot of females and girls, this is always the problem. They think they cannot do it. The thing is that even society will tell you that you cannot do it, right? But if you see yourself that I can do it, and the beautiful thing is that I have a lot of female friends that are doing amazing things. I'm like, okay, I love what those girls do. I'm gonna do what they're doing. But I also have some girls that be like, oh, I cannot. I was talking to one recently. She was saying, what I have is just a master's, an undergraduate degree. It's not. I'm like, what do you mean what you have? Some people can't even get a bachelor's degree. You have a master's and you're still looking down on yourself. So just believing that you can do anything. To that young girl that is trying to go into STEM, I would say go into it. You can do it. You are capable. Do not put limitation on yourself. Society will put limitations on you. Do not. I tell people that from when I started up to this point, I am yet to see that thing my male counterparts can do in my job that I cannot do. Mind you, as a chemical engineer, I just don't just like sit down and read and do stuff. I do stuff with my hands. I carry tools. I use wrenches. I climb ladder. I push. I move gas cylinders. Like when I like to be all girly and dressy and makeup, and people can actually see that as a form of weakness. But I'm yet to see that thing that they're doing that I cannot do. I do it all. When it's time to get my hands dirty and bend down and sit on the ground and do stuff, I still get it done. So do not do not see yourself as being a woman as a weakness, as a limitation. As a matter of fact, it's a power that we have. Being a female is a power, because people will look at you and underestimate you. That gives an opportunity to actually shine and tell them that I am beyond what you think I am. So as a young girl, do not put limitation on yourself. There is no field. There is none. I'm yet to see the field that a woman cannot venture into. And the beautiful thing is that when women get into stuff, when they really get into stuff, they do great in stuff. And also one thing you need to know is that those men that you think they are doing better than you, what they have is confidence. Most times you are better than they are. They just have the confidence that we as women sometimes we lack. But because I have an opportunity to be in a field where I'm mostly around men, I get to talk with them, you realize that sometimes you even know more than them. But they just have this boldness that even when they're speaking trash, they're saying I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get to that point where even when I'm saying nonsense, I'm sounding so confident. But that's what makes these men stand out. Sometimes you know more than them because you feel like, oh, you are limited, so you do more of the hard work more than them, but they have this confidence to stand tall and broad shoulder and speak. So if you build that confidence in you and have that knowledge and understand that there's nothing you cannot do, and just put yourself out there, trust me, there's nothing you cannot do. Once again, I'm yet to see something you're doing that I cannot do. Maybe use the male bathroom. Yeah, maybe. Seriously, I think that's about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your story. It's been wonderful talking to you.